Hi there, I'm Aki from Aki Gaming, and welcome to another episode of My Waifu or Husbando is better than yours. Each episode, we'll be putting two heroes into the spotlight and see who reigns supreme over the other. First, they will be judged by all of their attributes, which includes their stats, weapons, skills, etc. Then, we will put them into a battle simulator and see who's the better one when head-on. Not only that, we will be also giving them their best possible skill build and put them into the ultimate mass battle showdown to see who will be crowned the winner of My Waifu or Husbando is better than yours. Let's not wait any longer and introduce our contestants. Standing on the left corner, a young mage from the Nice, the sturdiest if not eccentric individual, the self-proclaimed prodigy, Lute. And standing on the right corner, the de facto leader of Dawn Brigade, also known by many as the Silver Hair Maiden, the priestess of Dawn, Micaiah. And here we go, Prodigy Mage vs Silver Hair Priestess, two popular blue mages battling out to see who's the better waifu. Who will take home the title? Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rumble? Round 1, Stats and Skills. Let's start with their base stats total. Lute has a BST of 151 and Micaiah's BST is also 151. It's a draw. What about their rating after weapons and skills? Lute's total rating is 174 and Micaiah is 168. Lute opens the scoring. Next is their hit points. Lute has 33 HP and Micaiah has 35. Micaiah equalize 1-1. Next, let's look at the attack now. Lute's attack is 36 plus 14 and Micaiah is 35 plus 14. Lute takes the lead again. What about their speed? Who is the faster unit among the two? Lute has a speed of 35 and Micaiah has 28. Lute scores again. The score is now 3-1. Now, let's look at the defense. Lute has 16 points in defense and Micaiah has 18. Micaiah closes the gap to 1 point. Last, their resistance to magical damage. Lute has a resistance of 34 and Micaiah has 35. Micaiah equalize again. After looking at their stats, the score is currently tied at 3-3. The match is still pretty much open from here on. Next, shall we look at their weapon? Lute wields the Weirding Tome that has a might of 14. It grants her an additional 3 speed and also reduces foe speed by 5 if their resistance is lower than hers. As for Micaiah, she has Tani, an anti-cavalry and armored tome that has a might of 14 and grants her an additional 3 resistance. Not only that, it also reduces 30% damage from first attack by cavalries and armored range units. Whose weapon is better? Both has the same might and boost stats. However, with the current meta, Tani is the better weapon of the two. 1 more point to Micaiah. Next, their assists. Lute has rally attack resistance that grants an adjacent ally a +3 on attack and resistance until the end of a turn. As for Micaiah, she has a new assist called Sacrifice that converts penalty on target into bonuses. It also restores HP of the target equal to her current HP -1. However, her HP will be reduced equal to the amount restored. It's kinda obvious whose assist is better. Another point to Micaiah. Now to their passives. We won't be comparing their passive in B as Lute doesn't have it. However, we will still introduce it to those who are interested. Micaiah has Guard in slot B that prevents foe from gaining cooldown charges if her HP is 80% or more during combat. Okay, let's start comparing with their passive in A. Lute has HP resistance that grants her an additional 4 HP and 2 resistance. And Micaiah, she has distant defense that gives her a +6 defense and resistance when being attacked by ranged unit. Who has the better A skill? Micaiah for sure. Last, let's look at passive C. Lute has resistant ploy that reduces foes' resistance by 5 in cardinal direction if their resistance is lower than hers. How about Micaiah? She has drive attack, a passive that grants allies within 2 spaces an attack plus 3 during combat. By referring to Game 8, resistant ploy is rated lower than drive attack. So, the last point goes to Micaiah. And that's the end to round 1. With a score of 3 against 7, the winner of round 1 is Micaiah! How did it end up being so one-sided? Who would have thought that Micaiah's skills are all better than Lute? Anyway, let's move on to round 2, head-on fight. For this segment, I'm going to use the FEH damage calculator by Krandu. First, we're just going to let them brawl with their default skills and IV with no buff. Let's have a look at the result. It seems no one gets to one round KO their opponent. However, Micaiah would have a slight disadvantage on the following turn if she attacks first. But since we are only looking at one round of combat, it's a draw. How about we give them some skill inheritance? FYI, the build I'm going to present might not be the best build for them, but it's optimized for higher kill counts. For Lute, Weirding Tome, Fury, Desperation, Resistant Ploy, Moonbow, and a Speed Seal. For Micaiah, Tani, Swift Sparrow, Sword Breaker, Drive Attack, Moonbow, and an Attack Seal. And the result? Lute gets to KO Micaiah in both phases due to her higher speed, which allows her to make a follow-up attack on both phases. However, that doesn't mean Micaiah could not beat Lute. All she needs is a Blue Tome Breaker or Distant Defense with Quick Repose, and Lute could be KO'd. There's various other ways they could take each other down, it just depends on which build they face. Therefore, shall we consider round 2 to be a draw? Before we proceed to the final round, let's recap back the result. Micaiah is leading with 1 win, 1 draw compared to Lute with only a draw. It seems Lute would have to win the last round in order to avoid losing. But Micaiah definitely won't go easy on her. Who shall be crowned the winner? Let's find out in round 3, Mass Battle. For this segment, we will be using the same mass battle calculator as round 2 to calculate how effective are they against all the other heroes. Instead of looking at only their kills, we are going to also consider their draws and losses too, and the result will be in the form of a percentage. Here's the formula. First, we'll look at the result with their default build. And Lute draws 47, loses 73, and wins 88. What about Micaiah? She draws 43, loses 97, and wins 68. Let's convert it to percentage. Lute's winning rate is around 10% more than Micaiah. What if enemies attack first? Would the result be any different? Lute draws 19, loses 64, and wins 125. On the other hand, Micaiah draws 45, loses 97, and wins 66. After conversion, Lute is still ahead with 64.7%, about 22% higher than Micaiah's. Hence, the default fight goes to Lute. Now, let's move on to their most offensive build. Would Micaiah be able to outperform Lute this time? Let's look at the result. Lute draws 4, loses 35, and wins 169. As for Micaiah, she draws 9, loses 54, and wins 145. In percentage, still Lute did slightly better than Micaiah when initiating. What if they defend first? And here's the result. Lute draws 3, loses 57, and wins 148. As for Micaiah, she draws 16, loses 65, and wins 127. After conversion, the Prodigy has the battle rate of 71.9% compared to Micaiah's with 64.9%. Hence, the winner of round 3 goes to Lute. And ladies and gentlemen, with both having a win and a draw, I'm pleased to announce that this episode of My Waifu or Husbando is Better Than Yours ended in a draw. I did not expect Micaiah would lose that badly in the last round, even after optimizing for high kill rate. However, the result could be much worse if Micaiah was given a more defensive build. Even though the Silverhand Maiden has an overwhelming victory in the first round, but Lute's superiority in speed gave her the advantage needed to force the overall match to a tie. So, what's your thought on the result? Who do you think should have been the better waifu? Let's discuss. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Aki Gaming for more interesting content like this. You could also leave a comment below to suggest who would you like to feature in a future episode. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode of My Waifu or Husbando is Better Than Yours. Oh, I forgot something very important.